The communities of Grand Forks, North Dakota and East Grand Forks, Minnesota faced a challenge like no other last spring. A devastating flood invaded the two cities and forced thousands of people from their homes. Many left their houses only to come back to muddy remains. The mighty Red River's water was quiet as it took over an entire community. Pictures like these need little explanation. Water creeped into every low spot. As the river finally receded, shocking sights awaited those returning to their neighborhoods. The Lincoln Drive area of Grand Forks was hit pretty hard. Buoyant debris lodged in high places showed how high the water really was. Houses moved from their foundations, cracked in half like walnuts. A mobile home crashed through this wall into a living room. No one was driving. This garage's address reads 801. It now sits in front of the 300 block of the same street, 5 blocks away. David Jensen came home to this.
Well, welcome to the Palace on Lincoln. This is what's left of my living room. The walls are falling in and sinking and caving in, whatever. The ceiling's falling down, it's cracked. We took off and never looked back. Well, later they let us into this area to get a few more things, and we grabbed what we thought were very valuable items at the time and left what we considered non-valuable. But looking back today, everything of value is still in there. It's just a different level of value. It stinks, it smells. There's my boy. I'm gonna have to try to save that picture if I can. And how do you tell an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old that everything they've had is gone?
The water almost submerged his house. From the air, only the top of his roof remained in the height of the flood. The evidence shows as the walls and ceilings blister from the water. Sometimes a crowbar is the only way to get through the swollen wood where things are kept.
There's all my bills and things like that, pens, papers, where I used to pay my bills, keep all that mail stored.
David's basement was, of course, the first to fill with water.
Can't find the goldfish.
Along with the water came about 6 inches of mud. Wading through the mess was like walking on a riverbed. Other surprises waited on his ceiling.
Well, up here we have the credit card receipts that I have no idea what they're for, but I must have bought something, I'm sure. And they floated up with the water level till it got above the ceiling, and they've adhered to the ceiling.
David lost a lot in the flood, the most precious being things close to his heart.
You hate to see the things that are precious. You see your daughter's suitcase ready to go to Grandma's house that never made it out.
Even through the lost belongings, and more importantly, the loss of a place once called home, David looks ahead.
I look at this as a new beginning. There's no reason to look back. You can, but that's already history. The only thing we got to do is look forward for tomorrow.
David Jensen joins us in the studio for an update. David, those pictures, they're pretty devastating to say the least.
It's interesting looking back.
Where are you now?
I live in an apartment, waiting for the city's grand old buyout. I'm in the process, looking towards the future.
Did your kids ever go back to the house and take a look?
Oh, yeah, I did bring them back. I brought them back. They looked inside. They couldn't believe what it was. They saw the toys that were laying there. It's interesting looking back now, in the 8th month since then, looking back at what you left and what you value and what you don't value at the time. They're now in school at Century Elementary. They're found a new group of friends, most of their friends from home. Still, they very rarely come in contact with.
Mm-hmm. So when you saw that's the first time you saw that story. What were you thinking when you're looking through that?
It still hurts a little. It's tough. It's tough to see everything you've had all in one little locality, no longer being able to enjoy. It's tough not to go home.
Are you going to buy another house?
I'll buy another house. The incentive program's looking good in the city.
Are you going to buy close to the river this time?
I'm thinking about elevating to about 64 feet. North Carolina thing.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming back in the studio
Thank
with
you.
us, James. You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota.